Hello and welcome to another daily devotion. As this week we talk about unity and unity in the body of Christ. I wonder if any of you have had an experience where you're on a trip with a group or you're in a class and there's just one person along on the trip that nobody likes. You know, they're either a busybody or they're a nag or they're just a complainer or a whiner. And they're bringing the whole thing down, but people kind of commiserate around this negativity of the person and say, well, we're gonna lift this thing up out of the mire or the dark cloud around this person. And so there's a common enemy. And then people find unity over a common enemy, whether it's a bad coach or a terrible teacher or a bully. And others start to stand together around that common troublemaker. Well, the people of Israel start off scattered in Egypt, and then this common enemy, Pharaoh, oppressive, horrible. Moses starts to bring words of hope and say, you know, these plagues are going to release us, and eventually they get out and they're in the wilderness. But then the shift of the common enemy goes from Pharaoh to Moses himself. What do you mean? I mean, it's 40 years out here. And you typical guy. You're not going to stop and ask for directions? How come we're not at this promised land yet? When we were in Egypt, we got onions and leeks and fresh watermelon and fruit. We got nothing out here but this manna stuff. Why didn't you just go take us back to Egypt where we could die? At least there we knew we had 3 square meals a day. Some leader you turned out to be Moses. And in their dissatisfaction, they become unified. Sometimes that can be a good thing when it leads to movements of justice or equality, or the dissatisfaction moves the body of Christ to do something instead of being in malaise and complacency, to actually get up off the mat and act in the world. But at other times, it has this sinister kind of shadow edge. Ask any pastor who's been voted out of a church for making a tough decision, whether racial integration or letting go of a staff member who wasn't cutting the mustard but was very popular. And you'll find, or, you know, God forbid, removing the organ pipes or something in the church. You know, and they've been on the firing end of that squad, and people saying, well, this person is the source of all of our problems. So unity, on the one hand, can get us to act in ways that are uplifting the kingdom, but it can also be like a mutiny on the bounty kind of thing. And that's not what Christ is talking about when he says be unified together. In the book of Philippians, chapter 2, it talks about, may the unity of the love of Christ be that which brings you together, so that you don't think that you're better than others, but that in your zeal to help and think upon how you can show compassion and grace to others, you mirror the kinds of compassion and grace Christ has for you. Just like Christ humbled himself, you know, who's above all the heavens and the earth, he came down and lived in our mess as one of us, as a human being, the divine in human shoes. So too you must be humble and working every day, working out this salvation with fear and trembling, working out the glory of God by thinking, how can everything that God has given me be used to God's glory? You know, I'm just a manager of the shop. God owns it, but it's not me, it's God. So my car, or, you know, my pots and pans, what am I cooking? You know, like, how can I help people with those things to bring people hope, bring people joy, bring people closer to God, instead of thinking it's all mine, me, myself, and I, and I'm in it for myself. Well, when we gang up on each other in mutiny, it might feel like unity, but really we're just in attack mode in ways that aren't very Christ-like. Jesus says, meet me in places that are humble. Meet me in places that are willing to serve. Meet me in places that are willing to put other people first. Those are the calling cards of Christian unity. And unfortunately, pretty rare and far between. today. Maybe some food for wrestling with us as we seek to find more common ground in this time, in this age. Amen.